Alright guys, we are back at it again this time. The finale to the Steve Vai album review series we've been doing. Wrapping things up with the album ranking every album of Steve Vai's. Of course, I threw in two EPs, being Alien Love Secrets and Flexible Leftovers, so all that added up to be 11. So I'm really hyped to be looking in, going through these and ranking them. Is really, really tough. I say that every time I do a ranking, but it's true. This stuff, it's really, really tough a lot of times, but it's really fun. And a lot of time, and for this one, really, the main tough part was kind of these the ones I kind of have in the middle. It was really tough determining which ones I like better. But as always with with these ranking videos, of course, stay tuned at the end because I'll announce the next band we'll be looking at. Of course, it's going to be this time, I do like the either a smaller discography or a one album deal. A band with one album. And I do a review of that. Usually in between these like bigger discographies that we've tackled. So this time, it's going to be, let's see if you can guess it by the end of the video. I mean, it's going to be kind of tough because there's so many bands that have this, but it's just a 2-album deal. So whenever we do since it's just 2 albums, there won't really be a ranking video for those 2 albums, but whenever I review both those albums, like on that second review, that's when I'll kind of say, okay, I liked this better than this or whatever. So, with all that being said, guys, we're going to go ahead and dive into this part of the video, too, where, usually I have, like, some bonus stuff that I don't really include in, like, a ranking or whatever, but just some cool stuff I like to show off. For one being, you guys saw this a little bit here, the alternate, or the actually original cover to a Steve Vai's Flexible, but, I really like the 1988 remaster, or not remaster, just reissue cover quite a bit better. And that kind of goes the same for Flexible Leftovers, which I don't actually have that original cover for Leftovers yet. I mean, if I end up finding it, that'd be cool to kind of go along with it. But I do have this. This is a remaster and reissue of Flexible Leftovers that came out in 1998 that they put out on CD. This isn't counted exactly because, it's a bunch of added stuff on here, but my God, if this was the actual Flexible Leftovers version that we got, and it was like a full album instead of just the EP, because, like, the song Natural Born Boy is one of my favorite freaking Steve Vai songs, period, and it's off this thing, was an added track on here. You get funny songs, like Fuck Yourself right off the bat on this. There's all kinds of really, really cool stuff, and of course it has the stuff from, the stuff from the Flexible Leftovers EP as well. But I love all the additional content that they put on this reissue of that, so I had to get a copy of it. And then, of course, I've got this, too, this amazing, The Elusive Light and Sound Volume 1. Really, really cool kind of effect there. It kind of moves. Kind of hard to see on the screen, on the screen here with the camera, but it's got, like, that kind of, like, scratchy surface to it. You can kind of do like that. It looks like it's moving. But, yeah, and this is actually, what's really cool. I mean, there's a shitload of tracks on here. A lot of them are kind of small little bits and pieces, and it's all stuff he's done for movie soundtracks and television pieces and stuff like that. And this is just volume 1 of the Elusive Light and Sound. I've actually not even heard all the stuff off the other volumes, but this volume I've heard a ton of times. It's a fun listen. It's got stuff like Celluloid Heroes, which wasn't I don't think it was on any movies or anything, but it's just kind of about that whole thing and about Hollywood kind of. Love Blood, which is one of my favorite freaking Vai songs, period. Man, that's, he's singing on there, and that was on the Interview with the Vampire soundtrack, and man, he just tears that song up. There's cool stuff from the movie Crossroads he was in. You get stuff from the Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey that he was on, like, just cool stuff like that. Encino Man, all kinds of really, really cool movies he's been features in, done like little, and some of these are just like maybe like 30, 45-second little snippets here and there of just like a little bit of shredding going on it, but it's cool. It's a really cool listen that kind of journeys you through these movies and stuff that he's been a part of. So I highly recommend, if you're a Steve Vai fan, you grab a copy of this, mainly for that Love Blood track. Such a kick-ass song. But now, let me get a drink here before we jump into the actual ranking, where we kick it off with number 11. And if you watched my review series all the way through, this is no surprise. We're talking Flexible Leftovers. And again, like I said it, if this were a full album and it had all that added stuff to it on like the CD reissue, we'd be probably talking, about this thing going up a couple spots. But it being what it is, this is where it lies for me, and it does have some really fun stuff, and particularly on this first side of this EP. You Didn't Break It. That's a really fun one. I love Bledsoe Boulevard, The Beast of Love, Burning Down the Mountain. I literally love all four of those first ones. But you get over here, man. On this second side of this thing, and you get So Happy, which is super annoying, man. I get kind of the comedy aspect, especially this early the '80s era of Steve. But come on, man. And then there's like some screaming stuff going on, like literal like a screaming, like sounds like someone's dying on little pieces of seaweed. And it's not really, and it's kind of funny at first, but then it just keeps going on to where Details at 10. Just stuff off and Chronic Insomnia. These are just not really good songs at all on this second side here. So it's like, I really, whenever I'm listening to this thing, the majority of the time, and I want to listen to Flexible Leftovers, I want to probably pop on that CD because it's got all that bonus stuff, plus this stuff that's more well paced out, and dispersed out on the CD since there's bonus content. But, like I said, I don't hate this EP, like just this part, because like I said, half of it, this first side's freaking kick-ass, man. I love those tracks. Probably my favorite off here is You Didn't Break It, which has got, really, really fun kind of vocals, the same vocals of the female vocalist and that male vocalist. I forget let me see here. Oh yeah, Bob Harris and Susanna Harris, I guess. Don't really know anything else they've done, but they were doing like a duet kind of thing on Flexible, and that's what this is too. But yeah, Flexible Leftovers gets the number 11 spot for me as my least favorite Steve Vai album. Again, I don't hate it, but I do not like that second half of this thing. When you flip that record over, it's not good. But that first side's pretty killer. Then we go with, this is where it already got pretty tough. Number 10, we're going with Modern Primitive. And, I used to have this one ranked up a bit higher. But, with how this thing ended up going here on this last listen if you guys watched whenever I reviewed it, we had the, let me pull this out here for the track listing. Yes, we had, I love stuff like Dark Matter. It's one of the best freaking songs off there. One of my favorite Steve Vai songs. So, and this is not a terrible record at all. This is a hell of a lot better even than Flexible Leftovers. But, it just happens to be back here towards the end. Mighty Messengers is one that just is in my head all the time. Love that song. And again, this is stuff I talked about more in my review. That was the reason it was called Modern Primitive is because it was, unfinished pieces that he finished up on in between Passion and Warfare and Flexible. So it's kind of that bridge in between the gap that are those two widely different albums. So this is a really, really cool listen. And again, I love Dark Matter. Mighty Messenger is one of my favorite Steve Vai songs. I love the melody on that one. We've got The Lost Chord, which is cool. He gets Devin Townsend in on that one. Let's see here. I love Upanishads. That, again, I don't really know how to say that, but that's a really cool one. And We Are One is a really, really pretty, almost lullaby-esque one. No Pockets. Yeah, hilarious lyrics, but just a really kick-ass tune he's got going. But it's when you get on this 3-part shindig here, Pink and Blows Over, where I just completely, because I forgot about that song, before this last listen I did whenever I reviewed it. And so, whenever I popped in the CD, I'm like, I don't remember him having a 3-part song on this album. So I got pretty hyped about it. Get to that first part of it, of Pink and Blows Over, loved it. I was like, this is really cool. Then you go to part 2 of that, Mars Attack. Man, it's just like, it's 13 minutes. It's just like, you'll hear a little piano thing, a little trickle of that, a little crash on the cymbal there, a little bit of a shred thing, and just quiet. Like, man, it was just like a waste of time, really. And I just really did not like it. And I'm talking 13 minutes of that, like not really any structure to it at all. And it just did not do it for me. Maybe there's something there I'm missing, but that just was not it for me. I was like, man, I was so let down by that. But then it ended up closing with the part 3 of that song that was really, really good too. So it's like, if you could just take out that part 2 of Pink and Blows Over and just make part 1 and then rename part 3 to part 2, This may have even bumped this up a couple of spots, man. I mean, but that I just couldn't help it. 13 minutes of that stuff going on at the end there. That had to bump this album down. But like I said before, this is a really awesome album overall. I really do. Because I don't think Flexible Leftovers is great. This is actually a great album. It really is. It had to get bumped down a couple spots for me. All right. So now we're going to go on to number 9. And we're talking about number 9, Flexible. And like I said, this is the 88 reissue cover, because I do like it better than the original cover, actually. And this is a great album. I had a hard time throwing this above Modern Primitive, but at the same time, it's like there's nothing off here that I really don't like. I love it. I love its quirkiness, how weird it is. The humor on it isn't like too overdone or anything. You've got Little Green Man. That's just hilarious with like the really squeaky voice effect on Steve there. Or really, no, that's Stu Ham doing the Munchkin vocals, it says. Or no, it's also Steve. So yeah, I mean, everybody's chiming in for these little alien voices here on that one. That's a really fun one. Viv Woman's a solid riffer, a classic from Steve. Lovers Are Crazy is such a weird, like really bendy song that's also really pretty at the same time. I love the chorus in it, and the pre-chorus, especially where it just kind of slows down, gets all real weird and really, really ballad-esque. And then, there's trumpets, horns, and just all this cool stuff going on. Really busy chorus and incredible song. That's still one of my favorite Steve Vai songs. Love the boy-girl song. Kind of like how they talked about on Leftovers there. It's got no, that's not even, the Harris people. You were on that, doing that song off Leftovers. Man, this is Renton and Raven on the vocals doing that duet. I thought it was the same people doing that on Leftovers duet, but I guess not. But either way, I love the Boy Girl song. It's a really fun, upbeat song. The Attitude song is super cool. Call It Sleep. Man, that right there is one of my favorites off here, too. It's one of the, such an emotional song about some people he knew who died, some friends of his who died in high school in like a car crash or something. Really, really cool stuff. So, yeah, and it ends off maybe a little bit weaker than some of the stuff before it. But there's great stuff on here. Like I said, those main 4, Lovers Are Crazy, Viv Woman, the Attitude song, and Call It Sleep are probably like the top for me as far as its album goes. And this is a very, very unique and standout album in the discography of Steve, and just a cool way to open it up. The one that's most easily, or clearly, that's the most Zappa-like, where he was fresh out of Frank Zappa's band at the time. So of course it's going to sound a lot like that stuff. But anyways, yeah. So we're going 11, 10, 9, and we're going with number 8 here. This is where it got real tough right here in the middle. Make sure that's all good there. There we go. Number 8, we're talking Fire Garden. And this is the Big Double album here, which is really cool. The Phase 1, as he calls it on here, which it's all on one CD is what's crazy. But he was really pushing the limits, I guess, at the time. This came out in, 93? 96. He was really pushing the limits of how much a CD could hold and seeing it at the time. And, he really did that with this huge freaking album that's got 18 tracks on it. The first phase is all instrumental. And then the second phase is all with vocals, except for that last track. It ends on an instrumental. But, man, I love, on phase 1, the instrumental stuff, the Crying Machine. Man, that's some good stuff right there. I mean, it sounds like, it's got a real, kind of, crying sounding guitar, but over this kind of bluesy and groovy background to it that's got a really cool thing going on. I love Dying Day and kind of the acoustic parts of that. Then we get off there, Fire Garden Suite, that 9-minute, 56 second 3-part. See, he can do a 3-part song here, and he does it beautifully on Fire Garden Suite. Love that one. Then we've got, once you reach phase 2, Little Alligator, man, that is a hilarious song. But, it's pretty heavy, in that pre-chorus doing kind of a heavier sounding riff and some really cool harmonic stuff going on there. Just love that song. Super hooky chorus. And I just love the main riff that's going on in there and how that it kind of evolves into that solo midway through. We got All About Eve is really pretty. Let me see here, Aching Hunger. I mean, man, Damn You is probably my favorite off this whole album. You talk about that's another one that's got quite a bit of heaviness to it. And the chorus just, damn you, I said damn. Just super freaking funny and hooky stuff. Absolutely love it. It's a perfect blend of that like humor and also really really badass at the same time. That song "Damn You," and same goes for "Little Alligator." When I was a little boy, is one of his funniest like 1 minute little 20-second tracks where he's got the super squeaky boy talk about his wiener. Really funny stuff there. Genocide's awesome. So this whole album, it doesn't overstay its welcome or anything. It keeps it interesting all throughout. It's how you do a double album, because it's also one of those double albums too that's not like a okay, I need to listen to this all the way through. I mean, even though that's generally how I like to do albums. I'm an album listening guy. No secret there. I listen to them all the way through. But like if I'm just, going down the road or something, driving to the store or something, there's plenty of songs here that I can pinpoint off here that I really love to jam to. So Fire Garden, awesome, awesome album, and a hell of a double album here, which is really the only double album in if you want to even call it that, in Steve's discography. All right, so number 7. This is another really tough one. I had to. Right here's where we pick between the two from the suite, the trilogy of albums that are to come. The third one, is supposed to be coming out at some point in the future, but 2 of them are out now, and I had to go with. Yeah, and see, I'm even thinking about it right now. These 2 are the ones I'm talking about, but I think we're going to put Story of Light back here. I think that's what we're going to have to do with this. With number 7 here. Man, that really, really tough call. But this album, I maybe put it just a little bit lower because it does have kind of a... Really, I'm not going to say there's any problems with it. I loved everything off here. But, like the cover of... John the Revelator, that's just an awesome, awesome cover. Really, really love like that female vocalist on there. Forget her name. A lot of these people that he kind of gets in as guests a lot of times aren't really. They didn't really do a lot of other stuff that's super notable or anything, or maybe they did and I just haven't heard it. But John the Revelator is a super cool cover. The Story of Light, cool little opening track there. I love Valorum, really, really heavy riffer. Creamsicle Sunset is just beautiful. Really sounds like exactly what that sounds like. Sitting on the beach, chilling. Oh man, The Moon and I is the best track off here. With the groovy kind of bass going on in the background with this ambient synth. And then, you get the shreddy stuff going on too over it. Just a beautiful, beautiful song. And, it's almost just completely an instrumental song. But it's got a little bit of vocals thrown in there too. The Moon and I is by far my favorite off here. I love Weeping China Doll. No More Amsterdam's another really pretty one. Sunshine, Electric Raindrops. That's the perfect ending of this thing right here. Beautiful, beautiful tracks scattered throughout here, and also are some really kick-ass ones too, like Valorum and Gravity Storm. I forgot to mention that one. And Race in the World. It's just awesome stuff all over this album. So, like I said, it was really hard to decide between these 2, but I had to go with this one being at number 7. And this one going at number 6. And the main reason's just because I think, there is... The other one does do more of the concept. It seems like it's easier to interpret the story of that one a little bit better. But, we don't really know what the concept is, and we won't really figure it all the way out until that third one's released, like Steve said. So, it being more focused on the concept, which I kind of understand, but it's really confusing, if you look into it and how it all pieces together, whatever the order. But this one just it doesn't focus as much on that, so it's just more, it just is more straight to the point with its songs, I think, and I really like the way it flows on here. I mean, you got Building the Church, one of my favorites off this album, and one of my favorites of Vi's period. Dying for Your Love, another really, really solid one. I love Kim P. Do We, if that's how you say it. But that's, that's just a beautiful, beautiful song. One of my favorite Steve Vai songs of all time. And it's only, 3 minutes, 59 seconds. It's one of those really, meditative ones that you can just really get into and zone in on. Steve excels at those type. And this is just, that's one of my favorites of his. I love Fireball. That's a really, really fun and hooky one. Lotus Feet's just beautiful. Midway Creatures, I'm Your Secrets is really cool, and kind of one of them really sensual Steve songs. And Under It All, just an awesome, awesome ending. So yeah, those two, Story of Light, which is the sequel to this album, it falls right behind there at number 7. This one I had to go with number 6. That was like a last minute, literally just now. Had to rethink it, but I am going to throw Real Illusions Reflections at number 6. Because overall, I think it's just a stronger record and flows a little bit nicer. Now we're in the top 5 out of here. Number 5. Man, it got pretty tough up here in the top ones, but this middle area was just really tough. But number 5, In Violet, and I love this record. If you guys saw me, this was the video I did last. I just adore this thing. Vi is just back at it with a fully instrumental album. It is just tearing this up. A lot of jazz fusion kind of vibes on it here. We got Teeth of the Hydra, where he shows off this just incredible instrument, with the fretless, half fretless bass. Some of it's got, the other half, has frets on it. Half fretless guitar, 12-string option over here. You got a harp down here. It just and all these effects on it. Badass instrument, and he just shows it and uses it to its full potential on that opening track, Teeth of the Hydra. My favorite off here is Zeus and Chains, man. That one feels like a godly battle, just the way it's going on, and it's kind of flowing real clean, and then just there's this time break, and just this nasty riff comes in with this wailing guitar sound that Steve does. That's an iconic Steve Vai moment for me. I love Little Pretty off here. Candle Power, really, really cool, and kind of a bouncier kind of song. Apollo in Colors, really cool. That might be my least favorite off here. It's either Apollo in Color or a Sandman Cloud Mist, and even both of those are awesome. Avalanche, that's another one that's probably tied for my favorite with Zeus and Chains. You got Billy Sheehan appearing on bass on that track, and just the melody of that will get caught in your head. It's a freaking earworm, and it's just a really, really fun and upbeat one with some cool synthesizers behind the guitar. Greenish Blues is a super bluesy one. Knapsack is that one-handed deal he did, so it's really cool. Listen to that, keeping that in mind. So every song off here is just freaking incredible. Love it, and I love how Steve just went back to the basics with this, and I'm actually glad that we didn't get that third album of that trio of albums, because of the Story of Light saga or whatever, because I think it's a great return for Steve. It had been several years since he released, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. We're talking 6 freaking years in between Modern Primitive and this thing. So it had been a minute. And I think this was a great kind of return back to it. And maybe, hopefully, we can get that third in the trilogy of those Story of Light albums next. But overall, freaking blast of an album. Already is just... That was a great way to start off this year with just an incredible release from Steve Vai. All right. Now we're up into the top 4. And it's getting tough again, guys. I'm going to have to go with number 4, the EP Alien Love Secrets. And this is what I'm talking about whenever I meant, hey, these EPs can hold some weight, because the last, in 11th place, we've got Flexible Leftovers, that EP. But look, all the way up here in 4th place, Alien freaking Love Secrets. Bad Horsey. Come on. Just the slide on that thing sounding like a freaking horse just, neighing its way through. Love that song. It's got a really heavy riff with it, too. Die to Live is just a really, really pretty one that's got a beautiful melody that really kicks in, especially about midway through that song where he's starting to really carry that melody the way through. The Boy from Seattle is really kind of a cool, clean-toned song that I just love. Yak Yo Gak is funny. See, this has got kind of some funny ones on here, too, but it's just so damn good. Yak Yo Gak has got that baby talking, and then he's mimicking the kind of cooing from I think it was his son. He's mimicking that kind of cooing sound with his guitar that the baby's doing. Kill the Guy with the Balls, pretty fun. It's got that really weird kind of voice effect going on there. God Eater's cool. Juice is another cool one off that first side. Tender freaking Surrender. Come on. Beautiful song. One of the top 5 Steve Vai songs for me. Come on. That song is just the most sensual, passionate song. Oh, it starts off, just that kind of light bluesy thing, and he just ends up shredding and tearing the freaking house down with that. if, you know, if out of all these album reviews I've done and, you know, this ranking video, if you haven't really been checking out this, at least just check out that song, because I'm telling you, you will not be disappointed. Tender Surrender is a beautiful piece of art crafted by this man right here, Steve freaking Vai. And that just, this EP, it's just super well paced too for an EP. You know, it's a quick listen. Just everything off there is amazing. I love it. It's filled with, you know, Bad Horsey, Die to Live, The Boy from Seattle, and Tender Surrender. Those four right there are like some of my favorite Steve Vai songs. So that's why we're throwing that at number 4. Number 3, this one rose up. It's always been up there for me in my rankings. We're talking about 1999, the Ultra Zone, and man, I used to maybe put Alien Love Secrets above it, but this is just, I mean, holy hell, dude. The Blood and the Tears, it's got like that Indian vocalist, that female Indian vocalist on there. Just, oh, it goes so well. It gives like this whole, you know, Indian meditation kind of thing, you know, Middle Eastern kind of vibe going on with this album, and it's just, it just does it to a T. I mean, that Blood and the Tears has got just a really, really cool melody that Steve's carrying on the guitar, and whenever the chorus kicks in and that vocalist comes in and does her thing. Then we go with the Ultra Zone, really cool track. Ooh, might be my favorite off here. It's one of them. I mean, it's got this really, really heavy riff, really offbeat stuff going on. Then it's got like these vocals doing like the whole, you know, ooh thing, you know, and then Steve is doing that with his guitar. So love that one. Beautiful tribute to Frank Zappa with the track Frank, you know, and we got, there's another one off here too. I think it's Jaboom. It's either that one or, let me see. Yeah, that would be, Jaboom is a tribute to, I think what, Stevie Ray Vaughan. So there's a couple, it's really sad those guys happened to die around this time, so he just had some beautiful tributes to him. Voodoo Acid's really, really crazy and nuts, love it. Windows to the Soul, that's like the epitome of that whole meditative kind of Steve Vai vibe that he gives off, you know, and how he can just really lock you in a trance with just this beautiful, beautiful song. And oh, just the time changes to this thing too, and the melodies on it, it'll just hook you in, like freaking hypnotize you. Love it. Silent Within, I'll Be Around is one of the best freaking vocal works I think Steve's done. Really, really pretty. It's got like the strings to it, or in fact I think it's like a strings, you know, option on a keyboard, but that adds to that song a lot. I love Here I Am, kind of a really fun one, and then you end with Asian Sky, which is cool, and then even the song Lucky Charms right here is really good. Everything on here is just so freaking kick-ass, and it flows so well. And this is, even over the years, this is one that I come back to a lot, and that also kind of had to bump this thing up for me. All right, top 2, but beforehand, we're going to get a drink here, because we've been just chatting it up. And even these top 2, it's, I mean, I second guess them from time to time, but man, number 2, I'm going to have to go with Sex and Religion, when he went under the name Vai here, but also still would have Steve Vai here on the side. So it's kind of one of those things, you know, it's still up in his discography. I love, love, love Devin Townsend on this. Absolutely. The whole band is like, it really, this, just like Steve intended, is like a full band effort here with Devin Townsend on vocals. Here and Now is just a really, really fun, like synthy kind of song with a beautiful melody. You know, you get the 2 big ones off here that I freaking love. In My Dreams With You is just this beautiful and pretty elated song with just one of the best damn melodies out there. You know, I mean, who was it? Who had I'm drawing a blank. Who had their hands in writing this with them? God, and I'm just drawing a blank on it, but I talked about it in my review, and it makes sense because whoever it is, that dude, again, I'm just drawing a pure freaking blank, it's bugging me, about who it is that wrote with Steve on a couple of these, like In My Dreams With You, and It's Still My Bleeding Heart, just incredible. And Desmond Child, that's who it was. There we go, I knew I'd get it. Desmond Child was involved with In My Dreams With You and Still My Bleeding Heart, those 2 tracks, and maybe even another one on here. But I know for those 2, those are freaking masterclass tracks with incredible solos from Steve. But even then, Steve kind of takes a back seat at some parts, you know, to really give the song its full life with Devin Townsend on the vocals. You know, I think Stu Hamm's on the bass, and you know, and I'm pretty sure Terry Bozzio's on drums, if I'm not mistaken. but just a really cool, uniform band here. I love the title track, Section Religion. Touching Tongues is freaking beautiful. Really, really peaceful track that actually has a vocal solo as the majority of its instrumental. Survive is a really, really cool and hooky one. I love Rescue Me or Bury Me. That Steve sings on that a little bit, and then it's just like another one of those really relaxing and tranquil tracks, instrumental tracks that Steve can. Well, I mean, it's not instrumental because he sings at the beginning, but after that, and it just kind of guides you on a freaking journey. This album, at times, has been my favorite Steve Vai album because, again, it's just a huge standout. Him having a pure set band instead of him kind of doing his own thing here and all over the place, which is not a problem, obviously, but it makes this one stand out. That it's like, hey, we got a band here, we have a lead vocalist who's just freaking nuts, Devin Townsend, and just his incredible range to him. And just the songwriting, again, Desmond Child getting featured up on a couple of these, as far as songwriting goes, just melodies, hooks, choruses, shredding, all the stuff you need right here on this album. But my number one, if you've, Process of Elimination, I just can't go wrong. I can't, go without having this as my number one. That may have been the obvious pick. But, I mean, again, like I said, I did struggle a little bit. I always do kind of between this and Section Religion. But Passion Warfare, I mean, come on, man. He opened with the really, really cool, opening of Liberty for this. Erotic Nightmares is just freaking crazy. It's sounds like what it is, which I've said several times throughout this whole series of his, because he does that so well for titling his tracks. The titles really tell you, kind of how it's going to feel. And because it's kind of creepy at some parts, really cool riffing. The Animal's one of the best damn songs he's ever done. Saw him play it live when I caught him on that Generation Axe tour. And he freaking just nailed that. That's got such a cool riff and a groove to it. And I mean, I can just all the melodies all over this album. It's all instrumental. Besides there's no lead vocals or singing really. There's little sound effects and snippets here and there. But yeah, Answers, just a really incredible song too. The Riddle, man, the bass work on that thing, it's got this dark kind of groove to it with just such a kick-ass riff, and then just goes nuts and ballistic at the end. Man, love that one. Ballerina 1224. Kind of a really, really pretty kind of, also really weird kind of song with just the, he says he uses a harmonizer on this thing with the guitar, and it sounds like chimes going off. It's really cool. Then you go For the Love of God. Come on, man. Come on. This is one of the best songs he's ever done. Even, it's probably not my favorite song he's ever done. I know it's probably his most famous one. Either that or Tender Surrender. But it's up there as one of my favorites still. It's just such an emotional journey of, I even heard he fasted for a couple days and just stayed awake. And then that came out of him, For the Love of God came out of his mind after that. So it's just such a powerful, powerful song. That's another one of those that, if you maybe haven't been digging all the Steve Vai stuff going on here, at least check out that song too, because that's just a powerful piece of art. Then, the audience is listening. It's kind of fun song. I Would Love To. I like the melody on that one. Blue Powder, that's one of my favorites of his ever. It's got this really, really cool kind of bluesy thing on it going on with some incredible bass work from Stu Hamm on there. And I love the tone Steve's got going on here, that kind of clean tone. And then one of my favorite solos from him on that song, and then he speeds it up. Man, love it. Greasy Kid Stuff is a quick little fun one. Alien Water Kiss. Sisters, that's just one of the most beautiful songs he ever wrote. Might Just Be. That one is so freaking beautiful. It may bring you to tears, man, because it's just so pretty and clean, and just sounds like something you hear at a freaking funeral, or a tribute to somebody. It's such a really pretty song. And man, that one, I love the harmonics on it. And then Love Secrets too. I mean, this whole album is just a freaking, oh man, it's something else. It's like a divine work. I think this is Steve Vai's ultimate masterpiece. This shows you what he's all about with some of the comedy stuff in there. Mainly just the epic stuff and just the really, really incredible instrumental pieces like The Animal, Erotic Nightmares, The Riddle, For the Love of God, Blue Powder, I Would Love To, Sisters. Just those, I mean, holy hell. That's just some of his best work ever. All on this thing right here. And just this thing flows really well together too as an album, and it's just structured beautifully. So yeah, guys, we just ranked and reviewed all the freaking Steve Vai albums. That was a fun one. Going through all those again. It had been a minute on a couple of them. like Modern Primitive. I hadn't heard that one in quite some time. And same with the Story of Light. So rediscovering, it's always fun to kind of rediscover tracks that maybe you forgot about, or were like, oh man, I don't really remember that one at all, and you just kind of rediscover that love for those tracks or that album. But with that being said, the announcement of who this next band's going to be, we're going to go with freaking John Sykes' band after he left Whitesnake. We're going to go with the 2 albums of Blue Murder. That's right. Love, love, love Blue Murder. So we're going to be talking about those 2 albums. It's a shame he's only got 2 albums, that they only have 2 albums. Hell of a, lineup with that band. We'll talk more about them then, but I'm really excited to be going through there, Definitely a band that rivals that 1987 Whitesnake album, and you can really see John Sykes' influence on the 87 kind of Whitesnake 1987 albums, production, songwriting, etc. But we'll really go in depth with those 2 Blue Murder albums these next couple of days here, in this coming week. Really, really excited to be doing that. John Sykes, one of my favorite guitar players of all time, just incredible stuff. So we are going to be doing that, and then after, again, that's only 2 albums, so we'll talk about the first album and then the second album, and in that second album, then that second album review of that, I'll kind of say which one of those 2 I liked better, and also announce the next big band we're going through. Going to be kind of a crazy change there, and this one's got a pretty big discography. So I'm really excited to be delving back into this stuff. So into this next big discography we'll be looking into. So stay tuned for that as well. Anyways, guys, thanks for coming along with another ranking the album video. These are always so fun for me. And now we get to a new kind of chapter again. And let me know what you guys think about these Steve albums. Maybe how you would rank them, or what your favorite or least favorite is, or just thoughts about all these in general. It's been really fun going through these. I know maybe Steve Vai stuff isn't for everybody. Kind of hasn't maybe been some of your guys' thing or whatever. But that's the fun part. We go through these, and now we go on to a different band, and maybe you freaking love that band. Because I know a lot of people really love the Sabbath one and the Iron Maiden one and stuff like that, and those were super fun to do. But I thought I'd change it up and do my favorite guitar player of all time, Steve Vai's discography, and it was a hell of a time. So stay tuned next time when we talk about Blue Murder's self-titled debut album. Like, subscribe, comment, guys, and have a good night.